Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello again.
To episode 76.
You'd think it would be about 100 by now. 5 years in, but goodness no.
Have we really been doing this for 5 years?
4 years, 9 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so let's just release one every 7.5 weeks, and we're well on our way to episode 80.
Into your microphone, please. Here you go. Well, so in the last episode, we talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, dang.
We also told everyone to stop wearing masks, which was really good because I believe in that.
Yeah. I mean, I still believe in it.
I still do, and I'm still living the no mask life. I genuinely have not put on a mask since, I don't know, before the last episode. Like, I just haven't. I don't even carry one anymore. That's how confident I am about it. I don't even own a mask anymore.
I have one serious question. Now that we know it actually came from Wuhan, can we start calling it the Wuhan again?
Still no.
The China virus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like the Spanish flu. Can we go back to calling it the Wuhan?
It was called the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference? This is the
Like,
Chinese
literally,
virus.
They were like, hey, we don't want it to be called this anymore, even though it came from there. And that's when it started. And now we know for sure that's where it came from. Can we? Can we, Justin?
Nope.
Why?
Why not?
Why not?
When did you get all PC on?
Oh,
It's
no,
cool.
just because everybody will have a hissy fit. It's because it's not worth it.
You have hissy fits all the time.
I'm saying it doesn't make any progress.
I think it does. I think it brings closure.
Let's
We're
everybody
all-
know.
Yeah,
Like-
we're trying to figure out where it came from, and then we figured it out. So
Like-
let's establish that.
Like we all, it's a known fact.
Yeah.
It just is. But it doesn't. I guess it
Well,
doesn't.
the crazy part is not everybody thinks it's a known fact.
Yeah.
There are the people out there that are like,
They're
Nah.
anti-factors.
yeah.
They're a D factor.
No.
That's just the thing. But again, it's not going to make any progress with anybody. Like all it's going to do is inflame the situation. Period.
That's how you make progress sometimes.
It's just
Burn it all.
I agree with that logic, but like when I'm actually trying to have a real discussion with somebody, it doesn't get me anywhere to make sure they're super irritated. Now, when I'm talking to you guys,
Yeah.
I don't care if you're angry as heck. Like if you tell me like keep Loki short, I'm going to make sure to go for 45 minutes on episode 2 alone.
So talking about Loki, since you brought it up, since we're going to talk about it.
We're gonna.
So what do you
we're
think
gonna
of
be here
Loki?
for a minute.
What did you think of what
Did
do
you
think?
like Loki? Was
of
it
Loki?
good? Was
So-
Loki a good show?
Okay, so you know how you guys didn't like WandaVision because you thought it was slow?
I think you're describing specifically me, but that's fine.
Was that that was your problem?
WandaVision was good.
I
The show in between, who shall not be named, show in between WandaVision and Loki was bad.
Falcon Winter Soldier?
I thought that Falcon and Winter Soldier had better pacing than Loki. I thought that WandaVision.
I agree
Falcon and
with
Winter
you.
Soldier, let's be real, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. That's a hard show to say and reference.
That's why I just call it Bucky and the Winter's
I call it the
Let's just call it FAWS.
pause.
FAWS. F-A-W-S.
So
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
it was like
I do agree. It did. Loki had a very slow pacing.
Sure.
I call it Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Captain America and Captain America and Captain America.
Okay, hang on.
And I really believe that with WandaVision, it better described like, meta contextual, like their discussion of self, I thought that the characters were better in WandaVision. I didn't mind that it was slow because it was the one time ever that you were going to be able to do that. With this one, with Loki, if you haven't seen Loki, stop listening right now. Okay, on the train episode, when they introduce Shoki.
That episode was so slow.
Yes.
But they had to introduce a new character, so I understand.
When the entirety of the episode where the longer the Enchantress was on the show, the more you felt like it was Loki guest starring in Enchantress's show, where she was the protagonist.
The fun part is she's actually Loki, so it's still a Loki show, even though it's her.
Yeah, but the Loki that any fan cares about
Well,
is
that's just it. She is my Loki now. If you say Loki, that's who I think of.
Exactly.
But that's not even her name.
And
She changed it. She didn't even want to identify as a Loki.
But she didn't really have a personality at all, except for like gruff and brusque and curt and like
And Grumsk.
every
She didn't even want to have the same
any
hair color.
situation she was in, she was always like in a crummy mood. She never did the same reason. All the reasons
It's
we love
almost
real
like
Loki.
she had been on the run her whole life, and she couldn't trust anyone, and that was like built into her character development, and that was who she was.
We even forgot to say spoilers.
Okay, but
Oh yeah.
sorry,
Add
here,
this into
Jordan,
the front.
Yeah, cut this
Spoiler
into the
alert.
front.
Just hey, spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen Loki, stop listening right now.
He's not going to cut it in the front.
If
but
I title the episode Loki spoilers,
that might be a good title for this episode.
okay, good. So
We'll see what happens.
ultimately, I thought it was vaguely interesting. Okay, like I thought it was a fun concept. You had the TVA, you had all the branch timelines being pruned. Again, as a concept,
I do have a lot of questions for you on that.
you could go anywhere at any time and have Loki have fun and do Loki things and mess with them and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so, as a concept, because like the reason this show's getting a season 2
Yep.
is because the concept is so broad, where he could just travel through time and do whatever on Earth he wants. And then at the very last episode, when they introduce Kang the Conqueror, who is going to be the next Thanos of the MCU, they completely stop their own show dead with like a lame, boring sword fight between two characters that like each other. And then there's like this really lame discussion about free will. I can't, like, again, this is after we've already lived through movies like The Matrix and everything. Like, I mean, to quote basically anybody else on the internet, I mean, we have the architect talking to Neo in the second Matrix movie that was magnificent dialogue. And then the whole time they're talking to Kang, it basically just stops the camera staring over their shoulder at him perfectly still.
Was this the guy at the end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell asleep.
And then
straight up-
the camera pan.
I didn't see
sliding
the
forward
last
and back.
10 minutes of the
it was
final
slow.
episode.
It does nothing.
I just couldn't stay awake. It wasn't interesting.
They had this incredibly immersive concept that they were like, okay, we're gonna tell a story that's not about the interesting Loki. We're going to make it about somebody who isn't fun to hang out with. And I don't know what the goal was. Like they did introduce a big bad for their next like phase 5, 6, 7. Where it's not that the villain wasn't big or cool or like the big smoky dragon thing, Eliath.
I have a question about that, too.
He's actually from the comics.
So I have a lot of questions
Yes,
because you've already gathered all the YouTube.
I did already
research.
drink YouTube.
So I'm gathering all my Loki thoughts.
Go ahead.
I'll start at Eliath.
Yeah.
Why was Eliath a portal?
No, he's not a portal. He's a guard dog.
So
The portal-
No. Hear me out.
What?
So they were on.
That wasn't Eliath's butt. Eliath was sitting on top of the
no,
portal.
but Eliath moved depending on where the thing was warped in.
I don't think that Eliath is a portal. And
Well,
second,
how
number
did that
2,
open
okay.
up?
Number 2,
That was dumb,
Eliath
is what
is
I'm
a
saying.
smoky dragon thing that consumes time and space. So if you are a dog that eats books,
Mm-hmm.
when you take a bite out of a book, there's going to be a hole in the book. So if Eliath eats time and space, he's going to leave a hole in time and space. So in a movie about
so
ripping holes in time and space,
So he was a wormhole or a portal.
No, he was not a hole.
he isn't a
became
hole.
one.
The dog isn't a hole. The dog ate a hole in the book of content, leaving a hole in the book. The portal is a hole,
So
a
they
rip
used
in
him,
space-time.
So they used him to make a portal.
Yes, because he was custom built to destroy all of that. When when we shunt off all of those branch timelines into where Alioth is,
Pruned.
it's basically just put there so he can destroy all that matter. Like when you have the law of conservation where nothing could ever be created or destroyed, matter can never be. It just changes form. So like when an atom bomb goes off, when everything's vaporized, it's just converted to energy. Like matter and energy are the same thing. Like light and your body are the same thing. So you need something who can actually end the
Matter
and energy from those branch universes.
Got it.
And Alioth just sits there and actually rends it from actual existence.
Okay.
So Alioth is a black hole where existence goes to end.
So then they were going through the black hole
No.
in Alioth.
Alioth was guarding the portal that already existed.
But he moved. It wasn't like a singular place.
What do you mean he moved?
He can move. He moved around and
He
disappeared.
just stretched out. He's really big. He's like a big...
Did you watch it?
He doesn't have a corporeal form. He's a smoky dragon thing.
So he just left some of his smoke back there.
How big is Alioth? As big as Alioth needs to be.
So
Entire branch
It's not like he
universes
is actually
were
the
put
size
in
of a
there.
dragon.
I understand that.
He could just go over here, but also still be over here.
Like, you have to understand that his total size is big enough to eat entire universes.
But I'm saying they used him as a
Guard dog.
wormhole.
Guard dog.
It's not. They did not use him. He was
So
guarding
where
the
was
hole.
that? Where was that a physical planet they were on that he was assigned to?
No.
That was the end of time.
No, it's a dumping ground for multiple different
But
universes.
where was that?
It was.
It was an
It was-
amalgamation of everything that had been pruned.
It was the end of time. So it was some planet that does exist
Yeah, that's what I'm
at
saying.
the end of time.
Yeah.
Okay, where Alioth was is the bottom of a universal, a multiversal outhouse. Okay? And all of the universes are what gets deposited into an outhouse. Alioth is the algae that eats what goes down at the bottom of an outhouse.
I understand that completely.
And then they just have to ask him nicely to move out of the way,
but he physically
so we
moved.
could get into the outhouse.
But he would physically move out of the way and come down, and when they were on the floor, there was so imagine this, like we saw on the show. He was in the sky, right?
His head.
His whole form was in the sky,
Okay.
and then he came down onto a planet, and then when they
I don't know,
spellbound
Jordan.
him,
Maybe.
Enchanted.
enchanted him, then the ground that they were on became a portal.
Oh, jeez. Okay, sure.
Two.
You're right.
No, I'm really trying to figure this out.
The show wasn't written that well.
I know. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out what that part.
We don't have enough information to answer
Did it
your
have internally
crazy-
consistent lore? Rarely.
Okay. I'm like, did that make sense to anyone, or
But
it's just time travel? And
honestly, the end boss of the show being both the one who remains, which in the comics is the guy who created the time twisters, basically the enemies of the timekeepers. Or so I mean, it was a fun twist that he was both like the head of the TVA and Kang the Conqueror, who
I really enjoyed that. Yeah.
look, I thought it was interesting. I thought the character did a good enough job making. I was like, oh wow, he actually feels like Oz, the man behind the curtain, and everything.
I liked that he was from, like, he was a scientist that was actually from here, and he's like, another one of myself found me, and then we all kind of exploded.
And then we couldn't agree, so we had a fight.
Yeah.
and then
No, that was fantastic.
again, it's a good concept that they focused around Sylvie, who isn't likable.
Another question I had is,
No, I need water really bad.
okay, pause.
Keep talking.
No, that's okay.
I have questions for you.
Have Josiah answer it.
He didn't soak up YouTube. I need a question answered by a person that spent 10,000 hours on YouTube. How much time do you think Justin watched YouTube
On this topic?
on this topic alone?
Couple hours. Probably 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot more than that. That's less. That if you compile a work day a full work day?
I don't know.
Because if he just puts it on and does work. I ate cookies.
Okay,
There you
so
go. So, my other question.
in the comics, like the Renslayer girl,
Who is that?
the curly haired girl that was always pursuing Sylvie,
Oh, the judge?
the judge,
Okay.
Judge Renslayer.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
The teacher.
She is Kang the Conqueror's girlfriend in the comics.
Oh,
Okay. Eliath really was Kang the Conqueror's guard dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Chronopolis where he lives actually has like a sphinx and everything. I mean, they basically put everything in that show to point to it was going to be Kang.
Yeah.
I would have been just as happy if old Loki or whatever was the big bad. Like it was me all along. Like I'm my own worst enemy.
well, it still could be.
I'm
but-
my own ally. I'm my own worst enemy. Like
Yeah.
that would have been fine. Just metaphorically for thematically. For
I'm
the show.
glad they didn't do another mirror match
Yeah, no.
of, it's just Loki again. It's like, come on, can we have something different? But, so I'm glad they did that.
But we already have Doctor Strange, who
Yes.
Kang was already confirmed to be in Black Widow or the Wasp and Ant-Man. Okay, Kang.
He was? When was that?
Kang is already confirmed for that.
So, wait,
That's fine.
I have a question
Number
about that.
2, you can't have Multiverse of Madness without this show leaving it as the timeline is going to go nuts. Like,
Yes.
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness with Wanda
Yes.
can't happen unless it ended this way. You're like, well, it's going to happen because you can't have a single timeline and Multiverse of Madness.
Yes.
Period.
So that's the nice thing is the timekeepers have to come in and fix all this now, which is more Doctor Strange, which is great. My other question is, where is the TVA located?
In a different dimension, really. I mean, it would have to be.
I heard different theories about it being located in the micro world that
Quantum realm is what you're
Quantum
looking
realm.
for.
Thank you. That the Ant-Man goes to.
Sure. But I mean, ultimately, the TVA that we saw at the end of the series where the statues were different was a completely different. Obviously, they're affected by the multiverse as well.
Yeah.
Like they're within the sacred timeline because they were affected by branch timelines, so they're not outside of the
Now,
sacred timeline.
Did Loki go? He was. I don't. Was he actually affected by it, or did he get? Did she accidentally send him to a different timeline?
No, I'm saying there wasn't originally in the sacred timeline. You would think that they were just in their own little branch universe, but apparently they were on the sacred timeline just far into the future. Because you can't by creating branch timelines on the sacred timeline affect something that's outside of the sacred timeline itself.
So did she warp him to a different branch at that point?
Well, where he came back to when he came back with his temp pad, where
Well, not his. temp pad,
basically
her-
whatever existed before is now different because the sacred timeline was so broken and shattered that there are now apparently just infinite numbers of TVAs, which will all try and prune and none of them can repair the damage. So all of them would be trying to prune the other. So that year 3100 that he says he's from.
Oh, I don't even know what you're talking about.
He says he's a 31st century man. He was in 31st century.
Who are we talking about?
Kang.
Oh, okay.
He says, I'm from the 31st century. I've been called by many names, a conqueror. So that's how
right.
we know it's going to be Kang too. So, if that was just his time and that was just the world in an underground facility, because it's not, they never just travel outside of there. Obviously, the quantum realm is an answer. But
The only reason that made sense a little bit to me is because magic didn't work. You know what I mean? Or they said some Faraday cage or
well,
around.
We also know that in the fake timekeeper room with the 3 robots, is we do see big giant runes like the ones we saw in WandaVision, where you can't cast a spell if you're inside the runes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So
See, this is why I asked Justin all the
there could
questions.
be other reasons that magic didn't work other than they're in the quantum realm. However, they write to explain it is up to them.
Yeah.
But canonically, just like there were, they did everything possible to bend over backwards to point to Kang, but not that they couldn't have been like it was Loki, because reasons.
You could do whatever. Yeah, you could already do
So,
whatever you want.
but ultimately, did I think it was well written and crisp and like I liked hanging out with Wanda and I liked hanging out with Vision. Okay.
Yep.
I did not like hanging out with Sylvie.
It's understandable. She has some parenting issues.
And you would say, yes, but she's an anti-hero. Okay, well, so does Loki. So I also like hanging out with Loki.
Loki had better parenting than Sylvie ended up with. So that's a lot of what goes into that, and I understand your pain with hanging out with Sylvie.
Even if they like, there was all these theories like, oh my gosh, look, Loki, he used the time stone. He must have stolen the time stone when they went to the go get on the ark and like get out of there and get home. And because they watched him like rewind one of the things that was about to fall on him when he just moved it out of the way with magic. Because clearly, if you had the time stone and you could rewind things with time, then when you see the arc blow up, you would just rewind time, and there would be no race against time. That, I mean, ultimately, obviously, if you were going to use a temp pad to go to outside of the TVA back to the normal universe, having the time stone with you is the greatest weapon against these time traveling people ever. So, it felt mixed.
Yeah.
It's the best opportunity that when they're not lashed into making Loki a side character in his, this is what it was. It would be like WandaVision focusing on somebody that isn't Wanda.
Interesting.
Like if the whole movie of WandaVision was about
the witch, other witch or something.
Yeah, like and then we just spend like 90 minutes an episode hanging out with Agatha. And
yeah, I know. We did spend a lot of time, but it was a good amount when she perished at the end. We did spend a lot of time with Vision, but it didn't seem like too much because Vision's a great character, and we already knew him, so they weren't doing the introduction stuff like that to do with Sylvie. They didn't have to build up a new character.
Yeah,
I have a lot of grace for building up new characters.
But it's not like they haven't built up new characters in the show because the enemy on. How do you guys feel about Elaine from Seinfeld? Like, how do you feel about her character?
She's all right. I don't really.
I can only take her half seriously.
Yeah, I'm so torn with her.
They're obviously gonna make like the Suicide Squad with her, the Marvel Suicide Squad. She's collecting all the bad people to go do bad things. So, I mean, whether or not like she's gonna do what she thinks is for the best, it's only. I just wish they would go full bore and turn Ross into the Red Hulk. I don't know.
Who's Ross?
I guess a lot of the shows, the Marvel shows were like interesting premises that you probably should have just crammed into a 3-hour movie. I don't know. As much as Josiah was like, WandaVision was scraping for time, and I was like, no, it was fun to hang out with them. As soon as you're not interested in the characters, and you're like, my gosh, this is taking forever. And then they put somebody interesting on screen, like Kang, and you're like, man, move the camera, like have a little cinematography.
Yeah. Not just back and forth to a desk over the shoulder.
Just something. Do anything interesting.
I mean, it literally caused me to fall asleep.
It was rocking Josiah to sleep.
Yeah.
And then on top of which, as soon as you have the metaphysical conversations that WandaVision did well, which apparently the same person that wrote WandaVision, it sounds like, wrote Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting. And you could see how the person who wrote Black Widow and WandaVision just wanted to sit there during Black Widow and have people talk and was like, do we have to do an action sequence? I don't know. Do we? Please, let's not do an action sequence. Like, I don't know where they're getting these new crop of writers, right? Because we already had the Russo brothers. We had Jon Favreau that was an unknown. And it's not like we haven't seen Marvel movies go well from unknown people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Taika Waititi had a gazillion movies to his name before they gave him Thor.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him.
Never heard of him. So there was plenty of people who have been given a shot, but I honestly think that the person Did you guys see Black Widow?
Yes.
I did.
Okay. Like the issue with Black Widow is
Oh, so we're just going into this now. Huh?
I don't no. I'm saying, did you have more questions about Loki?
No,
I
that
wish
was
it had
my
been-
main one.
I just wish it was better. I mean, I think that Loki is so interesting, and I think Kang is so interesting, and I think the premise of hopping through time, finding other Lokis.
We'll get a season 2.
Where I just want him to
They
not
won't be introducing anybody anymore.
I don't want them to be burdened by the glorious purpose of introducing Kang or Sylvie, and I want somebody else to write Sylvie, and I don't care whoever it is, whether it's, I mean, have James Gunn, who wrote, like, have person who wrote Gamora, you know, like, just give it to somebody else, and get somebody who, I don't know, wrote like Primer to write.
What is Primer?
Primer
That's a paint product for me.
Primer is an indie science fiction movie with lots of time travel.
Oh, okay.
And
how long ago was that released?
Maybe like, 10 years ago now.
Oh,
or
okay.
something. But
This is a deep cut.
Yeah.
okay, it was on Netflix. Primer was on Netflix.
Yeah.
We'll watch Primer
There's
together.
a lot of stuff on Netflix I haven't watched.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It's all garbage.
like, ultimately, are there good time travel movies? Yes. Do they need to just grab one of those and have them just write a fun time travel? You know, like that. I'm saying there's plenty of people that know how to do this and have done it well. And you picked somebody who just wants to have people talk, but then when they talk, they're not even interesting, which transferred over into, or sorry, that lady.
Who did this? Who did Loki?
Honestly, Justin,
Yeah.
I would really like to save Black Widow for the next episode. We just have so much to cover
Yeah.
Okay.
in
All
this
right.
one. As much as I would love to dive into it, I feel like we would just burn the whole rest of the episode on Black Widow.
All right.
Because it's a whole Marvel movie. It's not just a show.
Yeah. That's
a whole movie.
That's a whole 2 hours.
It's not just a show.
Yeah, with interesting characters in it too.
Okay.
So,
20
here we go.
seconds of Black Widow.
All right, I'm gonna pull out my timer watch.
Go for it.
Go for
it.
3, 2, 1, go.
It's a less good Winter Soldier. The end.
That was 3 seconds.
I would say
Tell me about
You
your
don't-
Vessies.
You don't. They're not even Vessies. You don't even know what they're called.
So do you spill water on them and you're like, oh my gosh, my toesies are still dry?
No, my toesies get wet when I spill water on these. They're not Vessies. They're
How'd you
the
get
other Instagram shoe called Kizik.
What? I feel like I've seen like one ad on YouTube for Kizik.
Yeah, they're hot shoes. They're hot new.
So wait, these aren't your Crocs anymore?
no, these I still have Crocs, but I also have these.
Okay.
And they are shoes
All right.
that look just like a shoe.
They look like exactly like your Nikes.
They look exactly like my black Nikes that are just all black, but their party trick is their slip-ons. So the
That's the
heel,
Kizik. Yeah.
Yes, the slip-on. The heel is like spring-loaded. So genuinely, you just kind of jam your foot in it, and it just like pops on.
I know the ad now
Yeah.
when they have the guy like getting on
Did
a
you hear that
treadmill.
pop? Did you hear that?
Here, let me do it. Let me give it some ASMR for the microphone. Hang on.
So this is a shoe being taken off, and now it's being put on.
Hang on. Quiet on set. You hear that?
Do it again.
I'll give it one more.
Yep. There it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's there. Hey, I'll be honest.
So what are the laces even for?
They actually do keep your shoe tight. If you untie the laces, it will be loose.
So it's just about the heel on that one.
Yeah, the heel, the tongue is held up. It's like attached at the top,
By the laces?
not by the laces.
Oh.
Like next to the laces. It's attached right there.
Okay.
In a couple key positions to keep it in place. And the laces are real, and it's a real shoe.
Okay.
But the heel is just spring loaded. So you
So-
just jam your foot in there,
so
and then you're
besides-
wearing your shoes. It's great.
so besides-
would highly recommend. Except the only reason I can't recommend it, I'll be honest, it was surprisingly expensive. It's probably the most I've ever spent on a shoe.
So wait. So this is the most expensive shoe you've ever spent, but the only feature about it is you don't have to untie it and put it on correctly.
Yeah, but it looks good. It doesn't look like a slip-on shoe.
So it's more expensive than your Nikes.
Yeah.
But the
Oh,
only
jeez.
additional feature was you didn't have to untie the laces.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. Like this is more than a pair of Nikes, so they're like $60
My Nikes
shoes.
my Nikes were $60.
Okay, so dang, I was pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are $60 shoes.
No, these are more than the Nikes were. These were $100 shoes.
Oh, that's so much money to spend on a pair
It
of shoes.
was a lot
You
of money,
crazy
but
person.
it had like the 60-day try it out. If you don't love it, well,
So did you return
no
it?
questions. No, obviously I'm wearing them right now.
I mean, are you going to?
No, I love them.
Do they fit me?
I don't know. You want to try them on?
No, I don't want to put my stank in your stank.
Okay,
I
that's
don't
fine. Just go put on a sock.
All right.
You could try them on when we're done. But they're pretty great. Would highly recommend. Just order a pair. See if you like it. Not a sponsor.
Why would I order a pair when I can already untie my shoes and put them on?
I can already do that too. And they're just really comfortable. They just like hold my foot really well.
So they're actually comfortable.
They're actually like a comfortable, good shoe,
Oh, okay.
Oh, I have lots of those.
but I can slip them on and they look really clean.
Me too.
Highly recommend. So that was that. Let's see what else. Justin won a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament the other day. Justin, you went on vacation?
I did go on vacation for the first time that wasn't my baby birth in
Okay.
like years.
Like your own vacation?
Like my vacation before this was years ago when I had Damien at the Kaiser Center in Fontana.
That's not a
That's
vacation.
not a vacation.
And then
Some would
That's
say
not-
that was surgery.
That's medical leave.
Yeah.
well, it was kind of I wasn't working. It was really weird to not be working for that long.
You left because of a medical need.
It's genuinely called medical leave.
I don't actually know.
It has no. You nailed it. That's
Okay.
what it's called, and it's not vacation.
It's pretty much vacation.
It's
You left for a long time.
Yeah. Anyway, so what did you do on your vacation?
Yeah, where'd you go?
So we went over to Ridgecrest, which is
Where's that?
It's like Death Valley's like foot. Like
So is it next to
Wait,
Death Valley?
wait, didn't you say something else earlier? Ridgecrest? You said Ridgecrest.
Wait, is Ridgecrest the place where the big earthquake was when we were little? The giant earthquake.
that's Northridge.
Northridge.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I keep getting them mixed up, and I
Yeah.
think you said that earlier. But Ridgecrest, I know someone that lives there,
Wait, I'm gonna map
and
it.
So it's
all they say is it's like going back in time.
so Ridgecrest is like this. If there was like an outhouse that was a city, that's Ridgecrest.
Why'd you go there? You're making it sound terrible.
So it's in Eastern California where nobody, not a person.
What is Eastern California?
Eastern
It
California.
sounds so wrong.
So when you head back east towards the desert people,
Just so we're clear, Jordan, Ridgecrest is almost directly north of us. It couldn't be more north.
okay,
Anyway,
Well, it's
go
not
ahead.
Northern California.
No,
So-
it's not, but,
but
it's
it's not
definitely not
southern.
east.
okay, but it's in the high desert. Okay,
Okay.
and we were about one intersection away from
Death Valley?
it's in the high desert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Directly north of us.
So as soon as you get that far north and east towards that, basically the other side of the Sierra, you're on the other side of the mountains. Okay. Like on this side of the mountains, all the precipitation is, so all the people are here.
Yeah.
There is none water out there. There is Death Valley and a naval weapons testing range that's larger than the state of Delaware. Like, so about like one intersection away from my door was a big giant guarded gate with like people standing there with guns saying like,
Go home.
weapons check in, like,
Nice.
don't come here if you don't belong.
That's
So,
cool. Did you get
Why
like,
did you go
blasted?
here? There's a golf course
Yes.
and a Walmart.
Yes, there was a Walmart. So it was about 116 degrees in the shade.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And it was the
We don't go to these
How
places.
hot was it in the sun?
easily 135.
Oh my goodness.
How hot was it in your car in the sun?
197.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it was literally it was the halfway point between the Sequoia Forest, which is big giant redwoods,
Yep.
and then Death Valley proper. So
It's actually south of both of those things.
yes, but it's about 2 hours in either direction to get to either. Or
Okay.
The halfway point from us.
at the halfway point
No,
from
it's
the
very-
door, you drive about 2.5 hours to get to either of those things.
Basically make a triangle. And you
Yes.
have Ridgecrest and then Sequoia National Forest and then Death Valley.
Yes. And the reason that there is such a wide gap between any of those and you can't just sit directly between, instead of making a triangle, the reason you can't just make a a line between the two and get the
Continue.
to the center point is there's a naval weapons testing range that larger than Delaware sitting there in the middle.
Larger than Delaware?
Larger than Delaware because they just sat there and
in California?
Yeah. So in Vietnam when we were like, hey, we can't hit bridges, or like the Sidewinder missile that was just a big giant like tongue for heat. Where you think about like computer guided missiles and everything and like smart bombs. No. On this one, the Sidewinder missile that they made there, they're like, what if instead of putting an optical sensor, we just put a like a heat tongue on there, and then it just zips over there at like Mach 7.5 and rips up whatever it sees. It just goes, finds a hot thing and detonates itself.
A hot tongue.
Oh, yeah, this looks like a testing area. Look at all these like
just airport and
they
big bunch
do
of
nothing but rain down freedom seeds on this thing.
Yeah. There's like clear circles if you look at satellite view that like look at this like circle.
Yeah.
Like something blew up there a while ago.
Just thud.
Something went
Right.
Something went
Yeah.
kaboom.
Like honestly, that is the place that they developed fuel air bombs.
What's a fuel air bomb?
A fuel air bomb. They're fascinating. So they are actually the largest bomb on the planet that isn't nuclear is a fuel air bomb.
I thought it was hydrogen.
Non-nuclear. A hydrogen bomb is a nuclear bomb.
It is?
Yeah.
A hydrogen bomb is a fusion bomb. So
I thought so
there's
an A bomb was a nuclear bomb and a H bomb
Is another
was
name
hydrogen.
for a fuel air bomb or a thermobaric weapon? Because I just Googled fuel air bomb and like nothing came up except thermobaric weapon.
Oh, cool.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm looking at the right thing so I can fact check you properly.
Let me correct Jordan. Okay.
Okay.
So an H bomb and an A bomb are just different types of nuclear reactions.
Okay.
They're both nuclear weapons.
Okay.
An A bomb is fission, which rips apart a piece of uranium and explodes in an atomic reaction. Okay. An H bomb fuses hydrogen atoms using a fission bomb, the little one. An H bomb uses A bombs to fuse hydrogen, thus releasing
It's a big
orders
boom.
of magnitude more energy.
Yeah, it's a big boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thanks.
but aside from those, if we don't want to use a nuclear weapon, they developed a fuel air bomb that
Explain a fuel air bomb to me.
It deploys. It has one explosion that just sprays a bunch of propellant everywhere.
Yeah.
So it just goes like piff, big giant cloud of explosives
So it puts fuel in the air
in the air
and then explodes it.
and then detonates it.
Nice.
And it's a gigantic. So you look at
love
fuel
it.
air bombs. So they would roll these things in Vietnam. They would roll them out the back of a C-130, which is just a cargo plane.
Yeah.
And instead of having it like, how bombs are stuck to the bottom of the wings and stuff, or they're in like, internal containers and you see all of the little bombs falling out the bottom. No. They just rolled it out the back and had a parachute on it.
Like
And
it's
they're
a tank or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they just rolled it out like a Jeep.
Yeah.
And this thing was the most massively fat, dumb bomb that would just go, "Gah!" And it wasn't a nuclear explosion because in Vietnam, people were still a little testy about that thing that had happened 20 years ago.
Oh.
And I mean, it was, so they made that there. They made, but Area 51 where they tested all the stealth fighter and everything?
Yeah.
This is where at this base, they tested all of the missiles and freedom seeds that were going to go into those stealth fighters
Nice.
and fighter aircraft.
Love
so
it.
They had one base where they would test the jet itself, and then this one where they would test the explosives.
That's amazing.
So why did you go to Ridgecrest?
Well, we
did you
wanted
go to the military base?
we went to the military base.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a tour?
We well, they don't actually give you a tour.
I
we
mean-
went as far into the military base.
You just wink at them, right?
You're like, hey,
Hey.
bruh. Yeah.
Yeah. No arms here.
we went in, we hung out with them, we got some, got a t-shirt. They had a meteorite in there. They give you a little presentation of the base and
Nice.
all the work they've done. So at this China Lake facility, our
That's
grandpa,
what it's called.
our grandpa actually went there to go work on optics for things like the walleye missile.
Did you go to
And
Telescope Peak?
I did not go to Telescope Peak.
All right.
So we even have a family history at this military base where
Josiah's the one that interrupts this.
when we wanted a big giant camera to put into a satellite to spy on the Ruskies during, during the war, we called our own ancestor to go build that equipment.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And he went there.
He went to that place.
Nice. He had access.
Yeah.
Deep access.
And then my kid gets a shirt and is like, "Hey, look, I want to get a shirt that says U.S. military."
Nice.
And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of a compromise because it says China too." So
That's
you
funny,
know,
'cause
your parents
from
can't get
China.
mad because it still says
China
China.
Lake.
China Lake.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, absolutely. It was super super fire. So we went there, and then it was just it was interesting to acclimate to the temperatures because it was like. Advanced degrees of heat
Of degrees.
at all hour, and then like you go to the store, you go to the Walmart, and the kids go to the ice cream section, and I'm like, the car is 130 degrees right now.
Yeah. I'm glad it lowered.
In what universe are we going to get a bucket of ice cream?
They're
home?
just gonna eat it.
Let's
in the
all
ice
get
cream
a
aisle.
popsicle and head home.
Oh. The
So-
car is just like red at the end of the trip.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, it was a bit of a shift for me as an indoor cat. Like they have a one of the little modular homes out there, and then like we kind of settled in for the day. Even the first day, a bit of a learning curve as a Airbnb user is
Have you been in Airbnbs before?
a little bit, but this one was unique, and
Okay.
I had a learning experience.
Okay.
And you think maybe I wake up and I was kind of like Home Alone, right? I wake up, the whole house was empty. Everybody else I was there with was gone. All 7 other people.
Did you panic?
So I wake up, totally empty, strange house,
Yeah.
right? It's 7-ish in the morning,
And
okay?
you're next to China Lake.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, where did everybody go? So I'm like, well, they've gone
Starbucks.
somewhere. My phone, I was in an Airbnb, I was in a strange place, so my phone hadn't been charged all night. So I'm like, oh geez, you're almost dead. Let's get you charging. So I charge it and toss my phone in the hamper because I'm like, what do I need my phone for? I'm on vacation.
Why did you toss it in the hamper?
Well, because there's like one outlet in like the whole room. There's not one next to the bed or anything because it's just a little trailer. It's a little towable house.
Oh, okay.
And it was very pretty, but there was no outlet to charge your phone by the bed. So
just buy the hamper.
yeah, I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's get the phone charged.
Yeah.
Into the hamper you go.
Your
And
dirty
I'm
phone?
I'm like, well, you know what? Nobody else is here. I have nothing to do. Let's just sit out there and enjoy the sunrise, right?
Oh.
So I go outside and I sit on the porch and I'm like, gosh, it's such a beautiful, just like serene. You could see just the whole horizon. You really want to just be able to take it all in and not be just obsessed with your phone and your normal day to day.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting on the porch. I'm basically wearing like a t-shirt and boxers and bare feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just woken up and I'm like,
Yeah.
let's enjoy the sunset, just me and the sky.
Yeah.
Okay. It was
Sounds
beautiful.
nice.
Okay. And then I'm sitting on the porch, and as the sun rises, I'm like, it's warming up very quickly. It went from like desert morning from 90 degrees to like 116 in like 20 minutes. As soon as that sun peaked up above the horizon, I'm like, it's really warm outside. This isn't as serene as I would like it to be. No, thank you. Let's pivot away from this. Let's go back inside. So I turned the knob,
Oh, nice.
and the knob has one direction that says, I look down at the knob, and the knob says, turn left to open, turn right to lock.
Huh.
So
Why? Why is right the wrong way?
So I had successfully now, with my phone charging on the inside of the house,
In the hamper.
in the hamper, and
Outside,
everybody else
naked.
at the store, okay, I'm now shoeless, mind you, and the area of land surrounding
in
the
the
house.
heat.
is basically what it's basically a very very fine gravel.
Yeah.
Okay, and I look down and there is just red ants all over the place.
Oh.
And they're just giant desert red ants. I'm like,
The floor is literally lava.
the floor is now lava. Okay,
Oh.
I have put myself into a furnace.
Oh, my
Okay,
goodness.
free of
And
clothing,
locked the
sunscreen,
door.
or a way to communicate with anybody else. Okay,
And you're about to get like a bomb drop near you.
Honestly, I'm like, I
I feel
really
like Justin constantly works himself into these kind of predicaments.
I have no recourse with. I could turn that knob all I want, and the key will still be inside next to the bed. Because the first door I have ever seen in my life that will lock if you turn it the wrong direction is now.
In the most dangerous place in
And
the
so,
world.
so I'm like, all right, let's.
And then Bear Grylls walks up.
I'm going to use my Bear Grylls survival skills.
Oh, my
Survive. So I had, I like
the first thing you have to do is pee on something.
They were gone for an hour. I had like 3.5 gallons of my own urine just to survive this ordeal.
Don't tell me you
so
drank anything.
I'm like, I have to find I can't admit to you guys that I like died out in the desert, right? So now I'm like, well, we got to improvise, adapt, survive. Okay. So
he stands on the edge of the porch and he goes, "Help!
help! So
James!
help! I'm like, I look over by the barbecue area and there is like a tiny little dark shed, right? Like where all the barbecue equipment goes. And I'm like, all right, this is going to have to do. And of course it was painted black. And I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die today. And
How long can a Starbucks run be?
and you look into a wood shed in the middle of the desert that nobody's been in for 6 months, and
Barefoot?
you see the biggest desert black widow you've ever witnessed in your life. Just a big old fat girl that just owns the backyard.
Still barefoot.
Yeah, still barefoot. And you're like, you don't really realize how naked your feet are until you
Until
really,
you can't
really
squish the Black Widow.
Until you
wanna-
go in a shed.
yeah, you really want to put them somewhere, and
I've seen these movies, Justin. They're not nice movies that you're putting yourself in.
no.
Yeah, this is the start of a horror film.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is it just
Like, you wanna play a
deliverance?
game. Like, what did you do? Turn the knob
And
left or right.
There's nothing
That
you
was
could
the
do.
game.
Yeah, and then one locks the door and cooks you. So
it's like
and the sun is still
You
going
literally-
up. There is
you literally started a horror film.
There
we
is-
drove to Ridgecrest.
there is nowhere
in
to
a
go.
shed.
Yeah. And so we stayed. We drive by, and
we
there's
went
just
into a glass house.
some guy with like a lopsided eyeball on
Yeah.
the wrong half of his head was like,
Yeah. And Justin's like, let me go outside barefoot and turn the knob in the
I
wrong
went
way.
to the East California bayou
Yeah.
over here in the middle of the high desert. I mean, all I wanted to do
the knob
was
left
go
or
see
right.
them big giant trees over there.
And then the whole theater was like, he turned it right.
Yeah. So we're like, and then they come home. I'm like, can I please come inside like right now? And I was just like singed. My skin was like crispy. So the whole rest of the trip, I'm like, can I please stay indoors? And they're like, no, we're gonna go out into the desert and like have fun and stuff.
And you're like, I've had enough of the desert.
Did Melissa have a key?
She did have a key because
Okay.
she was getting back in the house because she was coming back from the store. So she's like, okay, so in a couple days we're gonna go to Death Valley. And I said, well, I just came from that. So that was my morning. Can we skip that?
That's
no.
what the shed is labeled.
So they wanted to go to Death Valley in the morning because it's cooler in the morning.
Yeah.
So we get up at 2:30 in the morning to drive to Death Valley.
That's early.
So that by the time we got to Death Valley, where we wanted to go, the sun would be rising.
Yes.
So we're driving through like naked desert at 2:30 in the morning. The one car on the road.
Yep.
Okay. It's just you, Joshua trees, and dirt.
And the moon.
And then apparently there's a borax mine that smells like picture an outhouse again.
Yeah.
That is what a borax mine smells like.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're driving through that, and it's just the smell of death for like 30 minutes, and
Is
you're
that why
like,
they call it Death Valley?
It's in the name.
It's not the heat, it's the borax.
It is just sulfur and death and mining. You just have like these plumes, steam plumes of them, like, breaking down the aggregate and everything, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you could feel your brain being melted out of your head. And people are worried about 5G, and the borax mine is like lowering your IQ by, you could just watch it tick its way down as the temperature goes up.
That's why they say it's back in time if you go there.
So they were trying to get there on time, and they're like, okay, we just got to keep driving, and everybody's like falling asleep in the car, and then
Or passing out.
a jackrabbit that is like, you know how we had rabbits going up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take one of those and triple it.
Okay.
And that's a wild rabbit. And then it darts out in front of the car, and then thump thump, like obvious, like you super tagged this like 8-pound rabbit and just blew through it. And I'm like, she was like, my wife says, oh my gosh, did I hit it? Did I hit it? Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. I don't want to kill a rabbit. And I'm like, you obviously missed him. I saw him run out the other side successfully.
Nice. Yep.
He super made it.
That was a rock at the same time.
It really, we kicked up some gravel, and he made it, and he's gonna go live. And she was like, don't lie to me. And then we're like, okay, let's just get there.
Yeah.
Not a great time to run over the rabbit in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I'm like, as long as it doesn't spray too much guts all over my car, or whatever.
Now another reason it's Death Valley.
Yeah. Now, mind you, we're in Jordan's old car. Okay, so we're just driving around.
What's my old car?
Your old car, the car that was previously yours.
I don't have any previous car.
Christy's car.
Oh,
So we're driving.
sorry, I forgot I sold. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So
Thank
we're
you.
driving there.
I've only owned one car personally.
And all of a sudden we hear like this gravelly noise, and I'm like, is that? Gosh, the road sucks out here. Like everybody, the road is just so awful. Like, listen. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And then and then my wife insists that something's wrong, and I'm like, oh geez, did we jack something up from hitting the rabbit? What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So we get out now. Mind you, it's 3. Okay, it's 3 in the morning. It is pitch black outside. How much light is surrounding my vehicle?
The stars.
There's the stars. So you look.
They're nice stars.
You look
Tree.
5 feet out in front of your face. Infinite black.
Yep.
And you don't know what kind of desert predator is out there. So I check the vehicle, and I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah, the big giant plastic pan that covers up the drip tray, or what, the oil pan,
Yep.
has now dropped and is just dragging freestyle, hanging by 2 screws. The back screws totally dislodged, hanging on. So we're just dragging a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of plastic.
At least it's just a plastic, but and you didn't do the drip pan.
And
You don't
but
even
it's
need
still
that piece of plastic.
But it's still connected by why we puncture the drip pan, we puncture the oil pan. All of a sudden, we're like stranded, done.
Yeah, but the
And
plastic does nothing.
Do our phones work out here?
No.
This far out?
No.
They do not.
Not even a little bit.
Okay. None of the phones. The Verizon phones don't work out there. The AT&T doesn't.
What about your ham radio?
None of them. Nothing worked out. So it's just you and the busted car. Mm-hmm. And
At
so
2 in the morning. 3 in the morning.
At 3 in the morning.
The worst time.
With desert predators who could see you in the flashlight checking the pan,
Yeah.
and you can't see them. You
Yeah.
can't. It's just you and the glowing red eyeballs in the distance, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, yep, we're screwed. We have to get this thing off. We're like,
Do you have a screwdriver?
none.
You just yank on it?
So
If a rabbit could pull off half of it, I could pull off the rest.
We get out a pocket knife. Okay. My wife's sister says, "Here, I'll do it.
Oh.
I'll cut it off."
Oh.
And so I'm
Do you have a
like,
tourniquet already?
Wait, did you cut the plastic?
so
You didn't just pop the screws? They're not actual screws.
so we handed her the pocket knife.
They're just little like pop.
We handed her the pocket knife never ends well.
Yeah,
See,
this is not going to end well.
It's totally pitch black outside.
Yeah, and we handed her a pocket knife.
And we handed her a pocket knife. She opens the pocket knife, puts the pocket knife on the ground, then kneels. Okay. About 3 seconds after handing her the knife, okay, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I cut myself! Help!" And we're like, "What'd you do?" And so she holds up her hand. Now, instead of cutting the plastic, she has now put a 1-inch gash on the side. She now has a flap. So it was kind of picture like a really severe like V/U shape.
Yeah. Did you have a Band-Aid?
Where it could just, yes, we had a Band-Aid.
Okay, good.
So then
a Band-Aid.
And it's like dripping blood like up the side of the car and everything. And I'm like, okay, so now this thing has to close.
Yeah.
Like now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we get out the gauze and we wrap this thing like it's a sheep's tail that we're trying to remove. Okay. And
I don't get that reference.
So
you remove sheep's tail?
you basically tourniquet them and they fall off naturally.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So you deprive them of blood flow and they leave.
Oh.
So she now she's bleeding and she's having she proceeds to have a panic attack because she's bleeding. She's like, "Oh my gosh, oh 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 my gosh."
Did she pass out?
Help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. And then so she get like you basically,
That's better than passing out.
Yeah.
That's good.
So
she made it. She did better than most.
We like, we kind of wash it with the alcohol wipes and then we get it all gauzed up and everything. And then so she's sitting there and it's too tight. So her hand
it's getting swollen
with the flap on it. With the flap of skin. This is tight to keep the skin down so it will clot and close.
Yes.
Okay.
Not too tight.
We get her all calmed down, sit back. She proceeds to unknot the gauze and open it back up again.
In the car while it's driving.
While we're driving, she's like, "All right, I'm just going to fiddle with my bandages."
Yeah.
Okay. Because now at 3 a.m. in the middle of the desert with no phone reception is the best time to fiddle with it.
It does feel that way, right? Like, I'm thinking of a better time, and there isn't one.
At 3 a.m. with nobody else around, no phone reception.
I feel like this is starting a different horror film.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like...
I mean, it sounds fun, but...
I'm in the car, I'm like, we have to head back. Because the last thing I want is anything like else to happen to the car.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can't have this many bad omens in a row and still be like, let's drive into Death Valley. Okay?
I mean...
Yeah, you're pretty done at that point.
You can, but it's...
So I'm like, we should probably head back. So it's now 4 a.m. So we get back to town after an hour driving back. Okay. Still not sunrise. Okay. The balance of the car is female, and they pull up to...
I feel like you're the only man.
Because none of the stores are open.
Yeah. I just Googled it. They didn't open until 8.
They did not open until 8 o'clock. So everybody
And
looks
they have really
at
low
me.
ratings. These Walgreenses and this Rite Aid, this is 2.5, 2.3 out of 5 stars. This is not a good
They
place.
stared at my face and said, "Hey, see that Lou's liquor store? See, there was like a liquor store, and a liquor store, and a liquor store with 2 broken gas pumps out front. We went up and down either side of town. Nothing is open except for where toothless kitchen attendants, counter attendant kitchen. What?
There's a kitchen in there too?
So you walk in there and there's like the big desert flies just kind of humming around.
At 4 a.m.
That like flickering fluorescent light, and they're like, "Well, do you want to go in there, Justin, and go get some new bandages from the liquor store?"
Why didn't you go to the hospital?
So you know what I said?
Or the urgent care.
You know what I said? I said, "She'll live. Okay, we'll make it until 8. I guarantee you, because she's going to pass out from hyperventilating, and
That's
then
my
she
brother.
won't be able to pick at her wounds." Yeah. So me, being the compassionate person that I was like, you know what? This is not a fatal wound. She Josiah'd herself with her borrowed knife, and she's going to pull through until 8 o'clock. It'll be just fine. Yeah.
Well,
That sounds crazy.
that sounds
Super awesome vacation.
An insane vacation.
The sequoias were fun.
I want to
like
go there.
An insane occasion because of all the things that happened that were insanity.
I want to go to the Sequoias, but I don't want to have a deathful experience.
The sequoias, super worth it. Amazing.
So here's my biggest takeaway from your fun stories.
Yeah.
1, never give girls the knife.
Ever.
2, never give girls the knife.
Or
I think
Josiah's.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I think
Because
that's
last
the one.
time I gave Josiah
Really?
the knife,
Never
my
gi-
knife
never
got taken
hand
away.
Anyone your knife.
Never give anyone. You know who uses your knife?
You.
Yeah, you know what you should do with your knife to make sure Josiah doesn't get it taken away?
Yeah.
Not leave it out where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
That's a crazy throwaway.
Yeah. I've already bought baby Josiah's birthday present.
Uh-huh.
It's a $12 Swiss Army knife.
you don't even know when his birthday is. So that's fine.
Whenever his birthday is, I'll just hand it to him. I actually bought a Swiss Army knife inflatable costume, so I'm going to walk in as a giant inflatable Swiss Army knife.
He won't like that.
That's a weird inflatable.
Yeah.
That'd be very thick and front heavy.
So I'll just happy birthday, and then I'll chase him around, and then he'll be like, "Did you get me a knife?" I did. Here you go.
There you go. Now
Yeah.
you could be a knife.
Yeah, it'll be so. Honestly, never ever let anybody touch your knife. And vacation
wear
will be
shoes.
Yeah, wear shoes. Even if it's the morning and you're at home.
And
Wear
always
shoes
turn
inside.
Always turn the doorknob to the left.
Always only to the left, boyos.
I feel like I've never done that.
Yeah. May the record show.
That I've never turned a doorknob to the left by
It's just
default.
the wrong way to turn it.
Yeah. Like, it'll work both ways, but I've never
Except
gone.
when you lock yourself out and all of a sudden...
That's not the way
Gosh, imagine if it was slightly different, though. Imagine if it was lunchtime and you stepped outside real quick.
No, but when you're just outside and it's 130 and you're like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, but it could have just gone way differently.
you look-
Like if that happened when you were like doing an afternoon nap and you woke up and Melissa was out she was out with everybody going to grab dinner, and you stepped outside to grab something and turned around to open the door and locked it on yourself, and it was like full on heat of the daytime. Oh man.
Oh man.
It was just the
I
end of
mean,
me.
you probably would have had shoes on at that point of the day.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's why I said the part about him having an afternoon nap, so his shoes would have been off.
Like that.
I wrote that into the story.
It was terrifying.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah, right. Well,
I hope you had a fun vacation.
See you in
Even
7
though
weeks.
You
Hooray!
don't curse it, Justin.
Now I have melanoma on
Wait.
my cheek from a brief.
well, thanks for
jaunt.
listening, everybody.
Have fun, everyone, and wear sunscreen.
And send us an email, ydekcast@gmail.com. See you later. Bye.
Goodbye.